Hello and welcome to another new episode of Over a Beer with OnMilwaukee, brought to you by Miller Brewing Company. I am culture editor Matt Miller at OnMilwaukee, and I am joined by Zora Stephenson, the digital and sideline reporter for the Milwaukee Bucks. If you've been watching the Bucks, and why would you not be watching the Bucks, you probably recognize her. Thank you so much for joining.
Cheers.
Cheers. Now, in case people can't tell from the decorations behind us, it is the Christmas season. I want to start with a seasonal question quick. You're going to be on the road for Christmas this year because the Bucks play on the road at Philadelphia. Is that going to be a new experience for you? What's it like being on the holidays on the road? What's that going to be like?
Yeah, it'll be different for sure. I'm coming from a news background, so I'm used to working any and every holiday, but being on the road, being with a basketball team will be different. But if you're going to spend your Christmas anyway, what better way than, at a basketball game? It's something I grew up watching with my family on Christmas Day. Aww. And so to be there in person, it's going to be really nice.
That'll be really cool. And hopefully with a win too to warm up the holidays.
That's always good, right?
Now, you started in news. What got you into news and reporting and journalism? Where was kind of the birth of that?
I've always loved public speaking. I've never shied away from talking to different types of people, getting along with different types of people. And that's essentially what journalism is. You're telling other people's stories. And in high school, I did the high school news. When I got to college, I did any sort of media that the school had. Graduated and just naturally went into news. But I played basketball in college, and I've always wanted to combine my two loves, basketball and journalism, and here you go.
I have to ask, were there any stories from the middle school news, really big ones that you can remember, that you remember fondly?
We used to do the weather. We used to do our sports updates. I actually got asked to prom on the news.
Really?
Yeah, in high school. He did, the Axe commercials where they were on a horse and everything.
Yeah.
He self-imposed his head on it. That's probably my funniest Cougar news. Yeah, Oakton High School, Vienna, Virginia. Good memories.
Is that on the internet somewhere? Is that?
I don't know. I'm gonna look for it. It's gotta be somewhere.
That's on you, viewers. You better find this. We have a mission for you now. So yeah, what is it kind of like moving from news to sports journalism? Is it, you've talked in other interviews about how it's a different kind of world.
Yeah.
How much different, and what's the biggest change there was with that?
I tell my news friends it's so hard to explain because it's such a different world. Specifically, working with one team.
Yeah.
Right? I think it would be different if I was going to an organization and I was covering a bunch of different teams or a bunch of different sports. Mm-hmm. But I'm so hyper focused on the Bucks, and I am around the team all the time and interjected into a way that I don't think any other journalists can understand. And so it's been really, really awesome and really amazing. Great group of guys, great organization, so no complaints from me.
With the Bucks winning so much, does that make it easier or harder to be coming up with stories and coming up with angles? Because every game's been pretty much the same results. Not that we're complaining.
No, not at all. It's funny because I was just telling Jim Paschke the other day, the play-by-play broadcaster on all the shows, I'm like, Jim, I'm kind of at a loss for stories lately. What's the story? They're still winning, right? But there's always stuff to talk about with this team, whether it's, there's been some injuries and different people stepping up. Obviously, the bench is amazing. They call themselves the bench mob, and they're so energetic on and off the court. Giannis is an ongoing story. And then off the court, these guys are doing some really great things. Chris has his 12 Days of Christmas. Dante's really interested in helping animals that need help. They do different things around the community. Obviously, entertainment-wise, we've all seen the WWE wrestling stuff. So I could go on for days about the stories with this group.
Yeah, one of those things was the Bucks and playing the prison game, the Justice game. What was that experience like, covering that, being there for that moment?
I tell everybody, from my perspective, it was beautiful. Somebody else on the Bucks staff said unforgettable. We've heard powerful. There's just so many different adjectives that you could use to explain that day. It was, no matter how you think about it, a lot of different opinions out there, I know, but it's all about impacting lives, and at the end of the day, everybody is human. And so the Bucks went in there to impact these men and to show these men that there's hope. And I think the players left with hope themselves and really feeling something. So it was an amazing day.
That's great. That's so cool. Now, you played basketball for 4 years in college at Alon University. Mm-hmm. You set records as a basketball player. Does working in basketball and working on the sideline and all that stuff, does it make you miss playing basketball, or does it make it easier to kind of not be playing the game on that level anymore?
I think yes and no. Like any competitor, if you're around the game, you just want to jump in, right? I mean, not that I could like be anywhere near qualified to jump in any of the games that I'm watching, but like you get that itch and that urge a little bit. We play pickup all the time with the staff, so that's fun, and I'm still around the game. And I think, yeah, the silver lining in it all is that I'm still around this amazing game that's given me so many opportunities. So,
yeah. Is there someone on the Bucks staff in these pickup games, like low-key, like insanely good at basketball? Is there someone like that we wouldn't expect maybe?
Well, I mean, all the assistant coaches are great. So Ben Sullivan, he's got a mean shot. He can shoot it from like half court. Charles Lee can do a little bit of everything. Patrick St. Andrews, another assistant coach, he's pretty good. So the assistant coaches pretty much have it lined up. Skyler, one of the video guys, the head video guy, he's really good. He played at Florida. I mean, the list goes on and on. Alex Lasry is in there as well. He's got a shot.
So if the Bucks have a lot of injuries, we can just go to the assistant coaches and be like, put on a jersey.
Yeah, I mean, they're really not bad, and they practice with the guys. I like to think I hold my own, depending on the day. So it's just really fun organization to be around.
Yeah, you've come from North Carolina to Denver, Colorado, which was your news job before this, and now you're in Milwaukee. What was the biggest transition going from North Carolina to Denver to now Milwaukee, other than I imagine the weather being?
I was just gonna say the lack of sun here. I think all this moving, because I've moved like every 2 years for a while now, and it makes me appreciate people and relationships. In terms of like hard, there hasn't been hard. I mean, I really appreciate the process and the opportunity to get to know different parts of this country, right? I mean, we're going from the South, which is way different from the mountains, and now I'm in the Midwest. I've never spent like a lot of time in the Midwest, and you guys are really nice here.
I was
people
gonna
talk
say,
about Midwest
that's what we
nice.
do.
I didn't know that was a thing. I've eaten more cheese than I have in a long time, and you guys appreciate a good time. So
Have we gotten ope into your regular dialogue now? The ope?
no,
Oh, so if you
Enlighten
bump
me.
into somebody, you go like ope.
instead of like oops.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a. We'll get you there. We
Got it.
got a full season,
One way
at
to go.
least. Who's the easiest player on the Bucks to interview when you're doing a sideline report? Who's the easiest interview for you?
They're all really amazing. I think it depends on what you're talking about. Wesley Matthews is a really great guy to talk to because he's just so insightful, and he'll give you kind of like a deeper dive, and he's just honest and candid. Giannis loves talking about like specifics of the game, right? So if you ask him about a specific play, like he will really go into detail about what he was thinking in that moment. What else? Brooke and Robin, they like to, I mean, like I want to start with basketball for them because basketball, like they're very focused and they're very competitive, but they also like to crack jokes. So you can have like a funny moment with them. Who else? George Hill, he's got so much experience and so much knowledge. So for him, like any situation, he's been through it. And so he can always add to that. I mean, I could really go down the line. A lot of them will talk about the team aspect. Chris Middleton is kind of to the point, very quiet. They're all great guys. They all will give you great answers just in their own way, which we all appreciate.
Yeah, I assume that when it comes to the NBA Finals, you have the Bucks coming from the East. Who do you think the Bucks will play in the NBA Finals? Or do you think the Bucks won't make the finals?
No, right?
I think you're contractually
right,
obligated
right?
to say that they are.
I'm not much of a predictor. That's not in the job title for me. Okay. I will say there's so much competition all around the league, right? And there's so much energy on the West right now, and there's two teams in that one city in California, if you know what I'm talking about.
Sacramento, obviously.
But there's a lot of good teams. I mean, you know, Dallas like came to Milwaukee the other day and really played a great game without Luka.
Yeah.
So I just think there's great teams all around the league on the Eastern Conference side. Miami has been a real surprise for everybody.
Yeah,
so you can't sleep on anyone. Toronto, even without Kawhi, is still doing really well. So it's just fun. I mean, if you love basketball, this is just a really fun league right now.
Yeah. Did you grow up? You said you grew up watching basketball, right? Was there like a moment growing up where you were like, this is something I want to be involved in throughout my entire life?
I don't think I ever had like an epiphany moment. Basketball was just always there, so I never envisioned it not being there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like one day I was like, I want to be involved in basketball my whole life. It was just like, basketball is just a part of our family and it's a part of our life, and I never felt like it would go away.
That's awesome. Well, and it hasn't so far. It's awesome to see. Now, we are coming up on the end of the year, and not just the end of a year, but the end of a decade. So I said I wasn't gonna ask any probing questions. I lied. Looking back at the past 10 years, we have a thing called the Miller High Life moment, where it's this moment where you realize that you've made it, or you just felt like you really accomplished something, and a moment that really means a lot to you. And now, looking back at this whole decade, is there a Miller High Life moment that you're like, that's when I felt like I was doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or a feeling of achievement?
Wow. I mean, a lot can happen in 10 years. So you're asking me to pick one thing. I mean, a lot has happened in 10 years.
I will allow multiple answers. I will.
Okay. We could do like a personal and a professional. How about that?
That'll be perfect.
So in this decade, I met and married my husband.
Aww.
So that's my personal. And I think that goes along with my whole life. Like, we connected through basketball. He played basketball at Elon as well.
Oh.
So like I said, basketball's just been a part of my life. And then professionally, this decade, I can honestly say that I've gotten better every single year. And it's not always about the job titles. It's not always about where you are or what you're doing, but did you get better this is the Bucks rubbing off on me, because the Bucks are all about like, let's get better every day. But no, seriously, like, I mean, I'm big on goals and I write them down. And like every year I've done pretty good at like checking off my goal list. And so I'm proud of myself for that. And I feel like I'm getting better in my profession and being a journalist and being a reporter every single year.
That's awesome. That's a great mindset. What's number one on your goal list right now that still has to be checked off?
Ooh. This year I've actually done pretty well, and like I've checked everything off. You know, I think I need to reevaluate for 2020 to answer that, because this year I've been really blessed and it's been really amazing, and I've been able to honestly check off everything that I wanted to do, which doesn't happen. So
that's awesome. Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to
Cheers to checking off your entire to-do list over a whole decade. And cheers to all of you for watching this episode of Over a Beer with OnMilwaukee. A special thanks to Zora Stephenson for joining us right before the holidays. And thank you to all. A Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a Happy Holidays, and a Fear the Deer, Go Bucks Go.
Go Bucks.